And some of those men were really getting mad. And all I could think of was what my grandmother would say. It'd be a hit dog to holler, don't it? These are dream rules. This is someone else. I'm not myself. No, no. Good evening, ladies. As I sit to record this, it is Sunday evening, January 26th, and I am perplexed. I do not understand the state of men these days. I'm really at a loss. This is a time when, I'm not even kidding, I wish I had more men on my channel that could understand. Because for me, I don't believe that women should be correcting men any more than I think men should be correcting women. I really don't. I think that's part of the problem, not at all the solution. Like a lot of men are saying women should just, and if they just, and all of that. And I just don't think that's their place. I think men need to stay in a man's place. It's just, it comes off, and I don't mean to sound, mean or any of that. It just comes off a little too sassy for men to tell women we should not wear wigs and things like that. I'm not even a person who wears wigs, but I don't care. I mean, I have some in my possession. I don't wear wigs because I can't get them right. You know what I mean? It just seems like more of a hassle than it does to just do my own little scoop of hair. So for that reason, I don't wear wigs. But please believe, if I felt like plopping one on and a man had something to say, he would stop being a man to me. Like, that's just not your place. He would have to be my man. And at that point, the only thing I need him to say is, baby, I like it when you wear auburn. Or I like it when it's jet black or something. Other than that, I really need men to mind their business. But I digress. That's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about, so tonight, the Chiefs had a game. Go Chiefs. We're on our way to the Super Bowl once again for that three-peat. Run it back, run it back, run it back. But anyway, I go to a watch party, and y'all, I took my wings again. They ate them up. They were good. This time I had enough sense to get a plate for myself early on. But anyway, I go to a watch party, and at this watch party, a friend of a friend had someone to whom she wanted to introduce me. So I was like, cool. But before the Chiefs played the, who was that? The Eagles and the Commandos? Oh, no, I do not mean commando. That's when you don't wear drawers, right? The Commanders. I still have to get used to that name. I was not even trying to be funny, I promise you. I don't even know where commando came from. But should I edit that or just, you know what? That's just what I said. But anyway, prior to that, the Eagles and the Washington Commanders were playing. And so we had time to kill. As Chiefs fans, we're just kind of watching to see who we're going to play in the Super Bowl. Because we hadn't even played our game, but we already felt like we was going to the Super Bowl. So that allotted us enough time to just kind of hang back, talk, and all of that. Oh, sometimes. Like a lot of times people say, if you really want to learn something, just be quiet. Let people talk. But I was also doing some amount of talking, but not a whole heck of a lot. I listened a lot, and what I was hearing was concerning. It felt like a lot of the men were just saying stuff like, at first I thought they were kidding, I'm not even going to hold you, but they were just talking about women in general and how it's hard to find a good woman. And I kept hearing that term, good woman. And so after a while, I was just like, so what exactly is a good woman? And I don't know if you knew, because I wasn't sure. I'm expecting them to say things about her characteristics or her character, I should say. I'm expecting them to say she's kind. I'm expecting them to say she's compassionate. Yeah, I don't know. I guess, that's on me. I was overestimating. But I really expected them to talk about things other than servitude. And so they were like, a good woman can cook. A good woman, knows. They didn't say how to stay in her place but it was something to the effect of knows when to talk, knows when not to talk. Someone even said something about Kenny Rogers, got know when to hold him, know when to fold him, and a lot of women just don't know that anymore. And I won't even say I was upset, mad, seething, none of the above. I was just so doggone disappointed. Like that's the definition of a good woman. And to me, by and large part, women are doing what's called the work. We're digging down deep and learning, about ourselves and things that we can share and converse about and all that stuff. And y'all are talking about servitude like that. It was just really disappointing. And at some point, in some manner, I said something about the disappointment. And someone said I was a modern woman and, I just don't get it. Someone else asked me how much school I had, sound like a woman with a master's and all of that stuff. And I'm not ashamed of it. But it doesn't at all define me, or it doesn't even determine what I think makes me a good person. Like when I talk about my own characteristics and the things that I think make me a pretty darn decent person, my education never has ever come into play. It has never even been a topic of that. I think I'm a decent person because I'm a person who wants needs actually to serve my community in some capacity. I'm a person who needs to give. I'm a person who is compassionate. I'm a person who is able to see matters from both sides. I'm not selfish or self-centered. Like I don't want to just go on and on about myself because that's not what this is. But there are a bevy of things that I would use to describe myself, and education never ever comes into play. The only time I could even say it's close is I've used my education to afford me the ability to get a job that allows me to what? Serve my community. Like it just keeps coming back to that. But anyway, it was an odd conversation. And I ended up saying out loud what I usually just say to myself, which is I find that a lot of men are just homo-emotional. They're not homosexual. They will have sex with a woman in a heartbeat. But they are homo-emotional. Like the person that they confide in most, talk to, and all of that, relate to and want to relate to is usually a man. They're homo-emotional. And I don't mean it in the sense of women. Like we get together and we have ourselves a good kiki in time, but at no point does that mean we don't want to deal with men. At no point does that mean we're just, over men. And yes, I'm aware of the whole decentering men movement, but that to me is a reaction. That's not what women are just doing for no reason. They're doing it because of a reason. It's a reaction to something. But anyway, someone asked me what did I mean by homo-emotional, and it's so funny. I have matured now that I'm able to, I should say I've matured more so, and I'm able to describe what I mean. It's so weird. Years ago, a friend of mine, we had gone to see this movie, Baby Boy. Everybody knows that movie. I don't know why I said this movie. But we had gone to see Baby Boy. At the end of Baby Boy, if I'm recalling it correctly, because I've seen the movie on TV, but I haven't taken the time to watch it. And if I recall correctly, at the end of the movie, I want to say they're playing spades in the park. She's pregnant again. But in the background or forefront, I can't remember, you can see her same car. So now they on the baby number 2, sitting outside playing, and maybe Jody has learned his lesson about cheating, I don't know. But I remember at the end of the movie, I was disappointed. And I was like, okay, so old dude went from being a baby boy to a grown boy. And my girlfriend called me years and years later, and she was like, girl, there's this man named Tony Gaskins, and he said grown boy. He talks about a whole grown boy, and I remember you said that when we watched the movie Baby Boy, da-da-da-da. Well, here's the thing, though. Back then, I had said it, because I don't think there's a whole lot that's new under the sun. And please don't come for me if y'all are fans of Tony Gaskins. I'm not at all saying, ooh, this is my term, I came up with it, he stole it from me. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that years ago, I said, oh boy, in the movie, Jody, in the movie, went from being a baby boy to a grown boy. I said it, but at the time, admittedly, I didn't have the verbiage, I would say. I didn't really consider what all I meant when I said he went from being a baby boy to a grown boy. Like, I understood it because, it was the same old car. Where's your car? Like, I ain't mad at the teamwork aspect of it, but if you've done all this growing and working stuff, shouldn't Jody have his own car? Shouldn't y'all, like, I don't know. It just hit me that I said that term. So anyway, fast forward to now, as I say homo-emotional, in no way am I saying that I'm the person who has coined this term. I'm saying I have not heard it from other people before. That's all I'm saying. So now, having given it just a little bit of thought, having a couple more decades under my belt than when Baby Boy came out, I feel like homo-emotional men is an absolute real thing. And for me, as I try to describe it, I describe it as men who depend on the validation, who depend on the companionship, honestly. Like, you'll find a group of men who hang out with each other, barbecue with each other, talk about, I'm better at this than you. They compete, and all of those conversations with each other for an inordinate, excessive amount of time, and do not need nor seem to miss the presence of women. Not only that, they don't need or miss the presence of women, but when they have it, they seem to not even appreciate it. Those, to me, are homo-emotional men. I'll go further to say that I have seen homo-emotional men in the wild, so to speak. But I've seen them out and about, and these homo-emotional men will just about break their necks to grab the tab. No, man, I got it. It's on me. It's on me, man. I've seen them where clearly one out-earns another. And in an effort, I guess, to make sure it is clear and known that he is the alpha in that group, he's like, oh, dude, your money's no good with me. I have heard this term before amongst men. Your money's no good with me, man. I got it, man. I'm not saying that's weird. Maybe that's a part of male bonding, male friendship, male whatever. I don't know. But I'm just saying, here's where it becomes a thing where I say, oh yeah, that's a homo-emotional right there. That's a homo-emotional man right there. It is when they start having trouble with women and they start referring to women as gold diggers. And I promise you, I don't care what man wants to argue this with and against me. I believe the biggest and best gold diggers walking the planet have a third leg. They do. I have seen them not only dig for gold with a woman, usually with a game system in the hand and all that stuff. I've seen that. But I'm talking about just digging for gold with other men, with these so-called alpha men who, they looking out for their boy, or that's my man's, and, I'd rather treat him. There's a whole trend, actually. I just saw it. I shouldn't say I saw it. I saw the title of it, where apparently men are taking other men out on, I wouldn't call them dates, but they're taking them out. They're, I guess, buying their food and dinner. Again, I didn't watch the video, so forgive me if I'm mistaken, but it looks like what they're saying is they would rather go out with their homie than go out with an ungrateful woman. And I don't know where they find these ungrateful women, because I know for me, anytime a man has opened my door, I've said thank you. Anytime he's, in any way been chivalrous, paid for dates, certainly, all of those things, I've always said thank you. So I do not know under what rock they're finding ungrateful women, but I'm just going to presume they really have, and they're not lying. I hope they're not lying to prove a point, because if you got a lot of proof of points, you have no point. But there appears to be this trend where they're taking men out and paying for it and all that stuff. On the one hand, I feel like isn't that part of friendship sometimes? I know me and my girlfriend, sometimes we buy this round on me, that round on you. We go back and forth with it. There's usually not one particular woman who's always, who's always paying for the drinks. Unlike what I have seen in these almost said homosexual. Unlike what I've seen in these homo-emotional men groups, I have seen where there's typically one guy who, if anyone is paying for the drinks, it's this particular guy. And it's usually because he knows, just like everyone else knows, that he out earns everyone in that group. Okay, cool. I just wonder though, why, when that same type of energy, like these men out earn women, and women are getting their things paid for just like these men in the men's group. When women are doing it, they're called gold diggers. But when guys are doing it, it's just what? My homie, my boy, my partner, my partner. Like, I don't know. It's just weird. So fast forward back to tonight, game night, as we're talking in the group and I'm talking about homo-emotional men, there was honestly backlash. Like, I was straight up getting backlash about it. And who wasn't giving me backlash? One guy he said, you know what? As she was talking, I had to think about it. And he said, I could put names to some of the people she's talking about. He said, there have been different times and different groups where, yeah, she's not wrong. That's pretty much all he could say in this semi-hostile environment. He was like, she's not wrong. He said, I can put names to people that she's describing. And so he actually said a name or two to some other guys. Remember, these are not my direct friends, but friends of a friend. And when he said that, well, this particular guy was a friend of a friend. And when he said that, the person whom he said it, the guy was like, oh, yeah, you know what? Yeah. So there was some admittance that whatever I was saying wasn't 100% wrong. So I don't know. I just, and to go deeper into a bit of what I was saying, I was just saying that it strikes me as weird how men are, again, fighting over the check. I got this, man, I'm good on it. I got this round, and y'all go ahead, do y'all's thing. Fighting over who pays for the pool table. I've seen them out and about, and they have those pool tables where you have to deposit so many coins or something. I've seen men debating over who's going to do that and things of that nature. But I've also seen a ton of times where I'm at Walmart and a man and a woman go shopping, and who's pulling out the money or who's paying the tab? A lot of times it'll be that woman. And I guess it kind of maybe it goes back to what my grandmother said before about people pay for what they want and beg for what they need. So, the groceries are needed. He's depending on his woman. Maybe it's a 50-50 situationship. Maybe it was quote unquote her turn to pay. I don't know, but I just know something is funny going on right now. There's something really weird in the atmosphere, and it's even almost hostile. Like when I said that about homo-emotional men, it was first met with straight up hostility. After a while, though, we kept circling back to it a bit. And like I said, it started with that one guy who, I don't know if I said this already, was actually married. But he was saying, yeah, I have seen men like that. I have seen situations like that. And then other men were kind of like, as they allowed me to, because at first they wouldn't even let me finish my point. They wouldn't allow what I was saying to cook for the least bit of time. But once they kind of did and it marinated and they thought about it, a couple others had to admit that, yeah, they have seen those situations. They've even participated in those situations. They never really see it that way. They never, it's almost as if they're trained to look at women as the enemy. It's almost like, yeah, just that. It's almost like they're trained to see women as enemies. And that just saddens me to my core. I don't know that happens in other races of people. I can be honest and say that this particular watch party I attended was just a whole bunch of black folks. Yeah, no one at all. I mean, there was someone biracial, but who also still identifies as black. So They identify as black. I identify them as black. But yeah, that other than that, it was all us. And I don't know if that's true of other races. I don't know. I just don't know. That's where I should stop. I don't know. That'll probably be my title. I don't know what's going on with these homo-emotional men. But I just kind of wonder if you understand what I'm talking about. Like, have you seen that? Is it just my imagination? And I feel like, dang, when I was married, was I under an utter and complete rock that I was not seeing all of this before I started watching YouTube even? Because I wouldn't have known about that dating trend of, what did they call it? Taking out my friend instead of an ungrateful woman or an ungrateful daughter or something like that. But was I just missing all of this the whole time, and all of this was happening? That's not to say that I would have stayed in my marriage. No. But it's just like, dang, I had no idea that all this messiness and muckery was going on out here. It's just, for me, it's so freaking concerning. I don't get it. And I keep trying to find the comparison for women. I keep trying to see women as, and we just don't. We hang out, we have brunches, we do, all the fun things, but, and as many times as I've gone, 9 out of 10, it's 2 separate checks. It's this, it may at most be, girl, I missed your birthday. I'm buying this for our birthday, or it's your birthday month. If it was someone's, if it was a brunch within someone's birthday month, it's been things like that. But just all out, we expect one particular person to typically pay, because no, it has not been that. I will say the weirdest thing did happen to me for the first time. I was at a friend's birthday party, and somebody shouted out across the way whether or not I'd buy their drink. I thought that was the weirdest thing I'd ever heard, because I'm like, girl, you ain't never bought my nothing. So, but rather than say that, I was like, no, I just made it simple and clear that no, that wouldn't be happening. I don't need, to this day, I don't even know where that came from. Didn't even ask, because it wasn't none of my business. Hadn't thought about it until I was just talking about this just now. But yeah, other than that, I don't see us women as depending on one person to be the person to pay for things and do things the way I've seen it amongst men. I've seen it at cigar bars. I've seen it at the jazz club. Like, I've just seen it time and again, and it is weird. That's the best I can call it. It is very weird. And as a newly single woman, it's a little bit concerning. But I will say I'm not actually worried about it, because I do genuinely have a belief that what's for me is for me. I haven't asked for anything outrageous, and certainly not anything I'm not willing to also give in terms of being patient, compassionate, a good listener, kind, and things like that. So I don't have an issue with believing that when I'm really ready, fully ready, that I'll find the person for whom I'm, can I even say looking? I can't say waiting, because Lord knows I'm still out here just living my life. But the person in whom I'm interested, I can say that. The next person in whom I'm interested is going to be a person who possesses such qualities as that. And it's not going to be someone who relegates me to the kitchen. Am I able to cook? Yes. Am I able to keep a clean house? Yes. All those things. Doesn't mean I don't plan on hiring someone to come in once a week or so now. But it's not going to be someone who sees those as my qualities. Like, what? That's just extra stuff. It's going to be someone who's actually more concerned with how I treat him, and if I bring him peace, and if, it was crazy. It was really. And then amongst the men who were espousing these, I would call them archaic ideas of what makes a good woman, they were not men. I mean, like, they were coming up with traditional things for women, but they were not coming up with traditional things for themselves. With regard to themselves, as it pertained to being men who fully provide, they thought that was just outrageous. Like, times are just different now. It's too expensive now. Times are different only for men. It's like women are in a time capsule. We're still expected to maintain all the roles of the 50s, but pay the bills of 2025. Like, huh? How you 75 years back this way? I don't, it was, yeah, I don't know. I thought I was going to have a whole nother different thing to talk about. I messed around and set my whole head just talking about these homo-emotional, very concerning men. It's weird. But as I wind down to my last roller, my question is this: am I crazy? Have y'all heard of it? Have y'all seen it? I mean, I know for my friends who are married, you can be just like me. You probably are unaware of it because you are married. But until I got single, until even recently in my singledom, I was not aware of such men having such homo-emotional tendencies. But I'm done setting my hair, done venting and ranting, I guess. I don't know how long I've been going at it. Can't even see. Where's the time on my thing? I don't see the minutes. Well, I sure hope I'm not. Oh, there it is. It's 29 minutes. I've been ranting and raving for. I'm sorry, y'all. It's another rant. I think my last video was a teacher rant. I do have some other stuff that I've been recording, but all I can say is I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm curious, and I'm probably a little tipsy because we was watching and drinking at the game and all that. And who knows, I will probably end up deleting all of this video. I don't know. But in the meantime, and if I don't, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. After she knocked the whole food, she want to come back and be a YouTuber. But I feel like I was just sitting here talking amongst my friends about some of the things. But if you're familiar with any of this stuff too, let me know. Let me know I'm not just absolutely crazy. Because they really did try to play in my face and act like I was crazy when I was talking about it in there. And it wasn't until, like I said, it marinated and they thought about it and they were like, yeah, it's kind of like, oh boy. It's kind of like, yeah. It's kind of that they started just a little bit coming around to the idea of what I was saying with regard to homo-emotional men and how sad it is, you know. But even as they said that, they were still, yeah, but what about women and what about and what about? And I just feel like I am not a modern woman, which is what they were saying I was. I'm really a traditional woman, and I feel like men kind of lead the pace. Men set the tone and things like that. Now, women set the tone in the house. Any man who's trying to regulate that part of the relationship really is not a man for me. So I'm going to set the tone in my house. I have ideas of how I want things to be decorated, for example, the feng shui of it all. I feel like women are the feng shui of a house, but I'm not modern in most other ways. Like, I really do feel like men set that tone and pace. And if you're coming at me hot and sassy, like, are we going to windmill? Like, how are we going to do this? What are we talking about here? Some of the men there were actually getting hot and sassy. And the same flat tone that I'm using with you now as I speak to you, that's how I argue. That's how I discuss, you know, contentious ideas and points. Like, that is not what I'm doing. Like, I may think it, I may feel it. All right, girl, you get it now. I may have those ideas in mind, and I definitely had some of that this evening. I was kind of like, ooh, he kind of sassy over there, and him over there. Oh yeah, it's hitting home. He's realizing, you know, like, I have those thoughts and ideas, but you wouldn't know it from my external expressions. My expressions do not get haywire or crazy. You know what I mean? And some of those men were really getting mad, and all I could think of was what my grandmother would say. It'd be a hit dog to holler, don't it? That's all I'm sitting there like, yeah. You that hit, look at you holler. Be that hit dog hollering. And that's when I was like, yeah, you're probably the one that was paying. You realizing now that some of these homies, maybe even the ones in this room right now, are the biggest gold diggers. While you sitting there worried about a woman, like, to me, it's utterly insane. Even like this past holiday, I was talking to a guy who was concerned with, I got to get gift cards for the wait staff at such and such restaurant because, they treat me pretty good. They this, that, and another. Meanwhile, he's talking to me on the phone, had not, as far as I know, and we even discussed it afterwards, had not bought a gift for me. And I'm not that woman who's going to ask you. I'm not going to go begging and all. No, that's not going to happen. But as he's talking to me, I'm sitting here thinking, but you're spending time of my life that I allow. Like, let's not get it twisted. If I got time and I ain't doing nothing else, yeah, I'll talk to you on the phone. But other than that, we're going to keep it brief. But in my mind, I'm thinking, here we are on the phone. We spending time talking. And you're telling me about gifts you're going to buy for the wait staff at a restaurant or a club or whatever setting. And you're not talking about what do you want? What size are you? What would you? You sure right. You sure right. Because had I asked or mentioned, I would have been a gold digger, right? But for the boys and the homies and all these other people, they're what? Like, what are they? And that is just weird. Like, this is a person who professed to want to, be with me in whatever capacity and things like that. But you talking to me about buying stuff for it. What the kids say, that math ain't mathin'. But anyway, I said I was gonna let you go, girl. Let me finish setting my hair. I'm gonna let y'all go. I'm gonna sit under the dryer for a hot little minute, and then it is time to start getting ready for the week of the W2. I mean, I gotta get ready. But anyway, I will talk to you all later. Thank you so much for hanging out with me again. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. People have told me I need to remind them to do that, and I took it in. I promise I did. And then I forgot. So this is me remembering. And until next time, thank you so much. We'll talk soon.